Thank you for joining us. I'm Marni Hughes, and this is Missing on NewsNation. Each week, we cover a missing person case from across the country. No matter their race, religion, background, or circumstances, every missing person matters. They have family, friends, and sometimes complete strangers looking for them. And that is where you come in. By watching and sharing these cases, our hope is that together we can find answers and offer closure. This week, our featured case is Kaysey Yoder, a missing mother of 4 who left her home in Colorado and never returned. We have new exclusive details on her disappearance, as well as her family being targeted by scammers. In a moment, I'm going to be speaking with the private investigator working on this case about the latest and any potential leads. First, though, we've got a few other cases that we're following this week, starting in Hawaii, where the United States Army Criminal Investigations Division is searching for a missing pregnant woman who disappeared from an Army base in Oahu. Misha Johnson was last seen at her home at the base July 31st, reported missing by her husband, who is an Army soldier. The next day, Misha is 6 months pregnant, and police say she may be emotionally distraught. The Army is offering $10,000 as an incentive for information that helps bring her home safely.
Criminal Investigation Division continues to investigate Misha's whereabouts. The safety and security of personnel living and working across all U.S. Army Hawaii installations is our highest priority.
Police say Misha is 5'2" with a large dragon tattoo on her back. If you have any information, you can call the number on your screen. There are growing questions and new intensity in the search to find a mother and nurse in Northern Virginia who has now been missing for 2 weeks. Mamta Kaffel-Bat was last seen on July 31st after she didn't show up to her shift at work. She has not had any contact with family or friends since. A post from police says that due to the length of the time that she has been missing, they believe it's involuntary. Her friends and family have been organizing searches, and they're trying to raise money for more resources. If you have any information on her case, there is a number on your screen to call. And we have had a lot of interest in our most recent missing case, the disappearance of Jarrett Brooks. He's a teenager who left his home in Arizona on July 4th, 2023. The morning after, he was grounded for going off-roading. His family later learned that he took their gun from the safe when he left. Investigators followed his trail until they reached a dead end on an open field. Here's the Chief Deputy, Brian Swanty, talking about the case.
Due to the fact there has been no sign of life, there's been no indications that of life. Unfortunately, we have to look at this as it's a homicide. Again, still keeping our fingers crossed that it is not, and that's the desire is to find Jarrett alive and well and reunite him with his family. But being there's been no contact whatsoever, unfortunately, that's how we have to look at this.
Jarrett's mom, Laura, says they absolutely believe Jarrett is alive and he is still out there. And I spoke with her. Here's part of that conversation. You think Jarrett is somewhere out there still alive. What leads you to believe that, Laura?
It is very difficult to hear, but we're realists and we know it's for sure a possibility. I am asked all the time, a mother has a great intuition when it comes to her kids. I've had gut feelings, about my kids in the past, and they're typically true. My gut tells me he's out there, but he's not safe. He's in a bad situation and he just can't get out. And so we need to come together to help him out of that bad situation.
Deputies say there have been many possible sightings of Jarrett, including one last month in Texas, but none so far has turned out to be him. You can read more about Jarrett's case on our website, newsnationnow.com/missing, and watch our episode on his investigation and case on YouTube. All right, now to this week's featured case, Kaysey Yoder. First, her family in Colorado is hit with the unthinkable when the loving mother of 4 vanishes. And then Kaysey's mom and young son are hit again, this time by scammers. After NewsNation started asking questions about this case, sheriff's deputies making their first public release on Kaysey's disappearance in months. as we get exclusive new details from the private investigator on the case, giving her very first interview. NewsNation and my colleague, Kelly Beeson, has a closer look at Kaysey's disappearance.
With an enthusiasm and energy that's infectious, Kaysey Yoder's circle of friends is a wide one, but perhaps none more loyal than Anna Green.
She was really friendly and really extroverted and loved to talk and loved to socialize, just a social butterfly.
The two grew up together, texting, talking, and taking on the challenges that life and motherhood can bring.
Just a joy to be around.
Kaysey, a devoted mother of 4 boys, happy birthday, always working extra hard to get the care needed by her oldest, born with a severe birth defect.
He's in a wheelchair. He was also on a feeding tube. He was not able to speak. She would do different therapies with him. She was in the process of getting her CNA license so that she could be his formal caregiver and actually get paid for it. She had one more test to take.
It's why Anna finds the events of this past January so confusing. The 13th, Kaysey has a mental health emergency.
Told me this story about how she was like, well, I was just going to go lay down in the snow and let myself freeze to death.
The next day, Kaysey seems better, but in the afternoon left her home on Appy Road near Eaton, Colorado. Her husband Evan says she took keys for both vehicles, but set out on foot, announcing she'd be spending the night at Anna's. The next morning, Anna got a call from Kaysey's mom.
She's like, so did Kaysey come over there last night? And I was like, no, I haven't seen Kaysey. And I called Evan right away and I was like, Kaysey's not here. Why didn't you go looking for her? I was pretty mad at him. I was like, why didn't you go looking for her after what happened the other day when she did that and walked off and went and hid?
We've checked hospitals and psych hospitals and jails.
Private investigator Erin Martinez is working the case and is able to confirm that Kaysey's husband took a polygraph.
He was the one that originally told me that he passed it, but I've been able to have that confirmed, by the investigative agency who did the polygraph.
Martinez is on board with the amount of rural Colorado land covered by drones and K9 and foot searches held by Weld County deputies, especially because of the reports that Kaysey was feeling so well. She had just stopped medication for bipolar disorder.
What we try to do as investigators is put ourselves in somebody else's shoes and say, what would I have done or what could I have done? But, when you're dealing with mental illness, when you're dealing with coming off of prescribed medications, you do have to factor in that maybe she wasn't thinking in the most logical way.
Kaysey took a change of clothes in a small backpack. At this intersection right near her home, inside that bag, a pair of pants and her son's cell phone were found. Her bank account untouched, her cell phone never found.
After she went missing, no calls, no texts, just little tiny amount of mobile data. It almost makes me think that the phone was maybe just turned on and then turned off again really quickly. It could have been something as simple as her weather app trying to connect, and register the weather. So I'm not 100% sure.
What is sure, confirmed by deputies after inquiries from NewsNation, Kaysey's mother and son hit by scammers, pretending to be Kaysey, asking for money.
It's just really disappointing that people would do something like that.
To add to Green's devastation, her heart broken that the son Kaysey so lovingly cared for at home is now on his own in a long-term care facility.
Somebody knows something. I believe that with all my heart. Somebody out there knows something. And I just really hope that they will find it in their heart to come forward for not only Kaysey's family, but especially for her kids.
Again, Kaysey has 4 boys at home wondering where their mom is. Joining me now, Erin Martinez, the private investigator actively working this case. Erin, welcome to you, and thanks for the work that you continue to do. Let's begin with any new leads from January until now. Anything giving you or her family and friends hope to answers?
Unfortunately, there is not a lot of evidence that is lending to hope that Kaysey may be found, alive or okay.
Is there evidence suggesting otherwise?
There is really no evidence in this case. There's not a lot of evidence either way.
So I know one thing that you're hoping for is more details of her phone records. Why is that so critical to this investigation?
So I think, it's especially critical because Kaysey did walk away with her cell phone that day. So any location data that we could get from those cell phone records of a time after she walked away, I think are incredibly vital to, solving this case.
And how challenging is it to get those records? I know investigatively there are some hurdles to overcome.
It's been incredibly challenging. So we have phone and text records, mobile data records, I should say partial records for the day before she went missing, the day that she went missing. But it has been incredibly challenging, even for Weld County Sheriff's Office. The courts aren't labeling this as a crime. And so that's made getting a subpoena or a warrant for the phone records basically impossible. But I do know that the detectives, and especially the detective in charge, is doing everything possible to try to get those records.
Has it also made it more difficult to investigate this case and get attention on it because of Kaysey's known mental health struggles as of, the time that she went missing?
Absolutely. So I think that especially hindered things in the very beginning of the investigation. I think that most of the law enforcement agencies who originally responded did believe that she walked away voluntarily. And, I think it went hand in hand with her stopping her medication, her history of mental illness, the purported drug use. So, yes, it has made things incredibly difficult.
Let's go through the timeline for a moment. So on January 13th, again of this year, so we're shy of a year here, a friend says Kaysey had a mental health emergency, and we played just a moment ago her comment about going and laying down in the snow. Then on the 14th, the next day around 4 p.m., Kaysey walks away from her home. And then it's the next day, the 15th, at about 11:30 in the morning that Kaysey's husband reported her missing. I know one question people at home are going to have is why did he wait so long to call authorities and report her missing? Have you been able to glean any answers or clarification on that?
So I also had that question, right away. And I believe that he believed that Kaysey was with Anna. He believed that she was spending the night at her friend's house. And according to him, he didn't send any text messages or call her for the rest of that evening. And so it wasn't until the next morning when he started trying to locate her and get a hold of her, I think that he really realized that something was wrong.
In every missing person case, those closest to the person that has gone missing becomes a person of interest. Has he been cooperating with police? What have investigators or he said about the ongoing search?
So he has been cooperative. He has cooperated with our agency and with Weld County Sheriff's Office, as far as I know. He hasn't had a lot to add to the case. He claims that he doesn't know any more than kind of what's being reported right now. But as far as I know, he has cooperated.
And are the 4 boys with him? Where are they right now?
So her oldest son, unfortunately, was removed from the home and placed into a long-term care facility, I believe in Pueblo. And the last that I've heard is that the 14-year-old, so the next oldest, is at home with Evan, with her husband. And the 2 younger children, I believe, are with Evan's mom at the moment.
Okay. Erin, I know that there have been a number of searches for Kaysey over the last number of months. Drones, canines, there have been teams that have searched on foot. Give us a sense of what this area is like. So this is Eaton, Colorado, in the county of Weld. What kind of terrain are we talking about?
It's an incredibly rural area. It is a lot of farmland, and so a lot of the properties surrounding her house are larger properties that are fenced off. She does live in a small neighborhood that has about a dozen houses, maybe on the street, and there's another subdivision to the east of her that is populated, but it's a few miles east of the town Eaton. So it is incredibly just open, flat, rural land.
Did she have family, friends, or other connections in other parts of Colorado or perhaps in any neighboring states that we know about?
Sure. So, Kaysey has a extended circle of family and friends. And so, I think that she could potentially have contacts all over the state of Colorado, some in Wyoming, and, there potentially other states. She does know a lot of people.
As a private investigator, each case is unique in and of itself. What stands out to you about the greatest challenges in the search for Kaysey?
I think it really has just been the lack of evidence. Usually we're able to find something, to find a breadcrumb that leads to something else that opens up into other evidence. And in this case, every tip has been a dead end. Every, alleged sighting has been a dead end. And we don't have a whole lot of evidence to work on. So the little bit of evidence that we do have is not leading us anywhere. And so that's definitely, I know, been frustrating for the Weld County Sheriff's Office. It's been frustrating for my agency and especially, for her family.
Does she have any distinguishing marks, tattoos? I know in a number of the pictures, her hair is different colors. What did she look like when she left?
So as far as I know, she does not have any tattoos. She does wear glasses most of the time. I believe that she did have the platinum blonde hair whenever she went missing. There has been some back and forth on that because she did change her hair so often. But as far as I know, she did have the platinum blonde hair, and she does have darker hair naturally. So if it's grown out at this point, it could be darker now.
She had one of those faces and skin tones. It seemed like every hair color looked good on her. What more have you learned in your investigation, Erin, just about Kaysey and who she was and how much she cared for her family?
One thing that we have heard from every single witness in person that we've talked to is that Kaysey was an amazing mother, that she just cared so much and loved so hard. She was a great friend, a great wife, a good daughter. I mean, she sounds like she was a great person, and sounds like she really poured her heart and soul into her boys.
Final question. Any more ground searches planned, drones, canines, anything else that's the next step in this investigation?
Sure. So our agency has actually also conducted several ground searches. We've searched the area pretty extensively. We actually were just out there again last week, doing the same thing, going over the same ground. We searched abandoned houses in the area, and I think myself and my agency and the Weld County Sheriffs at this point are really just looking for another piece of evidence, another tip that gives us somewhere else to search. At this point, the area around her house within a couple miles radius has been searched pretty thoroughly. And although there's always a chance that, we've missed something or, she's somewhere that isn't just obviously visible, we need something. We need a new place, a new place to start, a new place to search.
Yeah, need that breadcrumb. I'm curious, is there much water in that area? And has that been searched, if so?
Right. So there is actually, and a lot of the farms use the ditches in the area and different concrete culverts for irrigation of their farms. So there's several lakes and ponds, that are always there, always full. And then the ditches in the area also do occasionally fill up with water.
All right, one additional place to search. Erin Martinez, again, thank you for your continued investigation on this case. We'll certainly be in touch with you again. Eaton, Colorado is where Kaysey Yoder is from, and the Weld County Sheriff's Office investigating her disappearance. We've got the number on your screen if you have any information that can help in the search for Kaysey. Next time in our missing series, the disappearance of Brennan McGinnis. His family is hoping they don't spend another Christmas and holiday season wondering where he is. Brennan is 24 years old, and he has been missing since December 22nd of 2023. His car discovered thousands of miles away from his home in the middle of the Arizona desert.
The week before he left, we were making little miniature Christmas trees using pipe cleaners. He was all smiles and talking to us, and because like I said, he's kind of quiet, so he was pretty talkative. Just everything seemed perfect and normal, like nothing was wrong. And then a week later, he doesn't come home, and he's gone.
We will have a closer look at Brennan's disappearance in our next missing case. If you have a missing person case you think we should be looking into, scan the QR code on your screen. You can also check out other cases we're currently investigating and submit tips by going to our website, newsnationnow.com. I'm Marni Hughes in Chicago. As always, thank you for tuning in and being our partner as we search for missing people from across the country. I'll see you back here next week.